What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back, and we're back with some team news ahead of the game against Coventry City this weekend. And it's going to be a little bit of a rearrangement, people. Not going to lie, the lineup we saw last week, don't think we're going to see it this week, people, but we're going to get into that in just a moment. Before I do, like, subscribe, drop your comments below. You know the drill. So we're going to do the press conference notes today. We're going to preview the game tomorrow. And then, of course, the match reaction Saturday. So lock into the channel, hit the notification bell as well, so you know when I'm going live or uploaded, as these won't always be live, people. Phone ringing right there. Hyru here saying if STRUIJK can't go, if STRUIJK can't go, I'd start the bio, keep Ampadu in midfield, big time spot for him. I think he can handle it. We'll see, Hyru, and look, we'll do all that kind of stuff tomorrow. I'll put up my suggested lineup tomorrow, then you guys can get yours in, and we'll speak about that. But yeah, we've got to talk about the news because they seem to have piled in. They seem to have piled in a bit, and the one concerning for me, STRUIJK is a concern, obviously, just pure for the year he had last year in terms of it being interrupted by injury, but hopefully he'll be back soon. But Manor Solomon's injury has suddenly crept from his back down to his hamstrings. And if we know this about Manor Solomon, is that when he's injured, he's injured. So we're going to have to wait and see. Look, here's the update anyway. Danny Farke was speaking about this in the press conference. Manor's back issues have resulted in a hamstring problem, and he will miss this game. He's hoping that Manor Solomon will be back for the Norwich game on Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever that is. I highly doubt it, people. I think he will be out probably until the next, at least the next international break. That's just my feeling, just because of his injury history. I think he's having to be managed with kid gloves with this one. Dan James is still out. I'm not sure why they asked about Dan James. He's already made that clear. Max Verber as well has had a setback in training with his knee. And with Max Verber, they're not sure whether they're going to have to go with an operation. So with Pascal out, Max Verber is the easy slot in there. And that's a lovely exchange at this level. But with Max Verber possibly having fitness issues, what he sustained on international duty, he may be out for a couple months if he does get the knee surgery. But they're still evaluating his knee. We're still going to have to wait and see how Max Verber gets on with the next rounds of training. But man, we've got an issue at centre back. We do. We've got a big issue at centre back now, and this is what happens, man. When it's funny, isn't it? We got injuries, and they all seem to be in the one spot. You know what I mean? Max saying adductor strikes again. Yep, tremendous. Yeah. And so, yeah, Max Verben, we'll speak about in a bit. And of course, as well, obviously, the other big one is there is a question mark over Pascal and his adductor, not able to train today. And he won't make the game, people, unless he trains tomorrow. And obviously, we're not going to know that tomorrow. We're only going to know that when the team sheet comes out on Saturday. So, yeah, there looks like there's going to have to be a bit of a reshuffle. He did talk about James DeBio. He was asked about the partnership of Ampadu and Joe Rodon being so good for us last year. And I'm sure you have no problem doing that again. Daniel Farke made the point to mention James DeBio, but I don't see him starting him, and I'll be shocked if he does start James DeBio. If you think he'll start him, let me know in the comments. But I just don't see it. We've been up in a game before, very comfortable. DeBio's been on the bench. There'd been a perfect opportunity to give him some championship minutes there. He didn't use him, so I do see him reverting back, and then possibly Al Tanaka coming into midfield, probably alongside Guev, and then, you know, Rothwell, if I think he must be fit and available again, being the substitute midfielder. I think that probably will be it, but, you know, we'll speak about that tomorrow. But yeah, yeah, Gavin saying Ampadu to centre back, the only we go, okay, right. Yeah, Ams will definitely go to centre back. Yep, and Annabelle saying no chance to Bar starts. Yeah, listen, it's good that he talked him up. But I always say it's not about what you say, it's your actions, because we heard this before with previous players that are no longer at the football club, where you talk about them for near 15 minutes in a press conference and then they'd be nowhere near the team sheet. So, and he was even asked about Joe Gelhardt today, and I don't know if anyone else caught it, but he kind of just like dodged around it. He was just talking about the competition for places, and it's tough. You know, some players, every player wants to play every minute, and you know, there'll be better players in the position. He basically just said, yeah, Joe Gelhardt, unless it break open in case of emergency, it's like that for Gelhardt, which is something I've said all along. I said if we did get in a Gus Harmer kind of player, just Joe Gelhardt would have been sent out on loan or sold, in my opinion. So yeah, he didn't even acknowledge it. He went around it, but I think he was just talking in general, just for the players that aren't getting featured a lot. And Joe Gilhart is one of those, just to say, look, it's competition for places. It's a good football club with good players here. There's a reason why you're not playing if you're not at the standard. Also, let me just say as well, other concerns, or maybe not, is Firpo. We need to see about him. I think that he says that he may be past fit for this game, but they're gonna have to see how he goes in the next training session. Bamford took a knock in training, so missed the session, but came back, so he may be involved. Cool. But so you see, we've got a little bit of a casualty list in terms of injuries, so we're gonna have to see how this team sheet plays out Saturday. But I will give it some thought, put mine in tomorrow, and then get you guys' thoughts as well on what you would do as well. The one going back to the injuries, though, obviously Pascal, hopefully nothing is serious there and that he trains tomorrow. That would be the most ideal thing, because we don't want to lose Pascal. Because for me, Pascal Struijk has been the best defender we've had this season. To me, it's not even close either. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. People can question mark Joe Rodon. I still think Joe Rodon's been okay, but Struijk has been head and shoulders the best centre back we've had so far this season. So to lose him would be a big blow. But I could kind of live with it if you have Max Verber in the reserve, because regardless of what everyone thinks about Max Verber, I still think he's a very good defender, especially at championship level. And if you're sliding him in, I'm like, okay, Verber and Rodon, let's go. But the fact now that we've got possibly two centre backs down is a concern, because of what I don't want to happen, people, and this is the concern I have just from previous of last season, is if Ampadu and Rodon go well again, that we never see Ampadu back in midfield, which he says himself is his best position. Because we know once something works with Farke, that's it. It's married. And even when was calling for Creswell to come in at the end of the last season, move Ampadu back in midfield, relieve the pressure on the midfield with Kamara going off form and everything else, he's stuck with the same two. So let's see how it plays out. Maybe the bio gets a start, but I'm with Annabelle, who said earlier, I don't think so. I'd be very, very surprised. Michael here saying, Rob Price has left his cursed medicine bag at Thorpe Arch, and he was asked about the medical team. Now it's Henry McStay, and he says there's been nothing changed in terms of the training methods and everything else like that. They analyzed things at the end of the season, didn't see any big need to change, just due to the injuries that they were, in terms of it not being through training and everything else like that. So it's just a case of getting the right formula. But what I will say, people, in terms of Leeds' injuries, other teams have injuries too. We're not the only team. We're not injuries are not exclusive to Leeds United. So it's something that we just have to get on with. And look, in certain positions, like with Solomon, who I want to speak about now, you've got Ramazani there. You've even got Nonto that can go back there. So it's not that much of a big deal. But obviously there, what suffers then is your quality on the bench. The bench doesn't look anywhere near as strong once you take these names off. And I got a feeling this weekend, people, the bench may look a little bit weak this weekend, but there are ways to go around it. Of course, there are ways to go around it. Solomon, for me, people, this is something I've said before. When we first signed him, is that at this level, he's a game changer. He is. He's an absolutely brilliant talent. But the injury history, and I remember me bringing it up on his football history. I can't remember what site it was on. Maybe it's Transfer Market. Maybe it was FB Ref. But the injuries were a major concern. He's missed so much football. And when it was his back last week, I thought, all right, he's got a little back strain. Okay, cool. Go get a massage, go ice it off, come back next week, mano. But now it's crept down to his legs, and that is not where you want this guy to be injured, because he will have to be looked after. Now, we also see, in terms of people saying about Manor Solomon, is his contract ironclad that if he's fit, he starts? I go the other way and think, have Leeds took care of themselves in terms of, if this guy hasn't played a percentage of games by January, can we terminate the loan? And I don't want to go extreme. I'm giving the other side, because a lot of people think that with Solomon fit, that he just automatically starts, just due to the wages that we're paying towards him, the fact that it took a little bit of extra effort to get him from Spurs when other clubs came in for him. And I can see that. I can see that him having to start maybe 75% of matches he's fit for. But on the other side, I just hope that if Leeds aren't getting that 50K a week worth out of Manor Solomon from now until January time, that we can also terminate the loan. I would hope that we've got ourselves covered, but hopefully it doesn't come to that, people. Hopefully Daniel Farke is correct, and that that he's got to sit out this game, but he's back for Norwich on Tuesday, Wednesday. I keep forgetting whichever one it is. That's the best case scenario, but let's just hope Leeds have covered themselves. Chris is saying Solomon was a big risk. I was right again. Tremendous, Chris. I'm sick of no more. I'm sick of no more than the club. When will they listen? Well, you know, look, we knew it was a big risk, but it's one of those kind of risks where when we get into the time of the transfer window and that kind of player becoming available, it's one where you go, okay. You know, I said it near the start of the window with Ryan Sessegnon. If you can get him on a very cheap deal for a year, then it's a risk worth taking, especially for us at this level, because Sessegnon at championship level is a very, very good talent to have. There's always risk when it comes to a player, especially when he's had the injury problems that Mano Solomon has. But as we've seen in the majority of the games when he's played, he's an exceptional talent, exceptional. So let's see how he gets on. I think it's very doubtful he'll be back for Norwich, but we'll speak about it, you know, nearer to the time. Yeah, Gavin saying injuries ahead of a 3-game week, Leeds. Yeah, and look, I've said this before. Maybe it'll come back to bite me, but I do think that we're going to be better once we get into the rhythm of 3 games, you know, 2-3 games a week. I think that kind of rhythm is needed. I'm not sure about all the training and then a game on once a week. I think that we need to get in that rhythm like we did last year and get into that Saturday, Tuesday thing. I think these players will thrive off it. Speaking of Pope, he also mentioned, Ina, welcome back to the memberships. Ina, thank you for coming back. Salute to you. He also asked about Joseph from Peru today, which it's one of these things where the word that comes to mind is hypocrisy. This is something that we've spoken about because it seems to be a hot topic in terms of, oh, okay, just change your payment info. Salute to you, Ina. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. It seems to be one of these things now where Mateo Joseph has been involved. I can't even remember the stat, and I should have brought it up. LUFC data put it up. I put it in the last video, but he's involved. He's been involved with, I think it's 4 of the last 6 goals for Leeds United. But yet these journals, a question is placed in the team, which is very rich because when other players go game after game after game of doing nothing, they don't say anything. And maybe it's because there's a long-term relationship there. I have no idea. But I think Daniel Farker handled the question very well today. He threw it back, not threw it back, but he answered it very well in terms of Joseph's contribution, his goal scoring at different levels. And also what I put out to people as well, the ones that are saying that Joseph isn't scoring enough. When is the last time that you could remember a ball going to that near post where he does his finishing that you've seen for both Leeds under 21s, Spain under 21s, and in preseason for the senior team? You're not seeing it because he's not getting the supply. That's why his assist levels or assist numbers are getting so high because he's dropping back, getting involved in the build up to the goals instead of being at the end where he should be because there's no supply there. And I've said it before. There's times when he's running off the shoulder of a defender. Guess what's not coming? The ball. So I don't know what it is that people are questioning here. Should he have more goals? Of course he should, but he's going to need a run of games to prove that. And there's no point, you know, talking about the Peru Joseph thing at this point. Danny Farker has pretty much said Joseph is his guy, but it also depends on the game that we play and the tactical tweaks that are needed depending on the defenders he's up against. I just thought it was a poor question today. I do. It's all you can always tell when there's a little bit of bias in terms of certain players. And I thought that was a very poor question today. Yeah, he's been playing well. And listen, I'm the first one to say I think he should be scoring a couple more chances that he gets. But my point is that there should be more chances created for him as well. We shouldn't just be talking about 1 or maybe 2 misses and one of the misses being a half a chance outside the box. He should be getting more opportunities to atone for earlier misses. You know, you shouldn't just be getting 1 chance a game as a number 9 for Leeds United in this division with this team. And that's the point I try and make. Hairu saying I'd start Joseph and Peru together in the 9, but I know Farco would do it. Yeah, that's not happening. I would do that too, Hairu. I've said I would love to get the 2 up front. I think it would be a brilliant partnership as well. You've got the technical ability of Joel Peru playing behind Joseph, who plays in front. It would work, but that then would mean taking out one of the 2 defensive midfielders, which we already know Farker isn't going to do. Carl saying here, got to give Joseph a chance and run. Always thought we need a quality, experienced goal scorer there for when he hits a bad patch in front of goal to take the pressure off. Danny Ings. Yeah, I mean, there's no point. I mean, we've spoke about this before. And this is what I mean. This is what I don't want to get into about transfer windows. It's been and gone, and unless you're going to get rid of, the big earner from the club, you can't get in a Danny Ings. That would mean you've got 4 strikers on your books when we only play one per game, and the rest get like 6 minutes at the end. So that's what I mean. There was no point talking about it. Unless we had moved him on, then I would love to have had that conversation about getting another striker, because I do believe that as well. You need competition up there, but at this point in time, he is the main man, and he should be. And there's nothing in his performances that tell me he should be taken out. Absolutely nothing. And it's like with Brendan Aronson as well. And I feel like I'm a Brendan Aronson avenger these days. Brendan Aronson has also got, and I wish I'd brought up the stat. I'll do it for tomorrow's stream, people. But Brendan Aronson's been heavily involved in the goals contributions as well. I just don't know what it is that certain people want from him. And like somebody says, maybe it's because people don't like him anymore because of the whole, going out on loan last season. I don't take those things to heart, man. What can you do for me now? As Janet Jackson would say, what have you done for me lately? Well, lately, he's getting in on the goal contributions. Tom here, would you give Schmidt a chance against Coventry? It all depends on Firpo, Tom. And that's another thing, a misleading stat, not misleading as such, but Firpo, there's a stat going around about Firpo having the most touches in the final third. What does that mean? Because I haven't seen anything from Junior Firpo in the final third that makes me go, he's been, his crosses, his chance creation has gone to waste. He's been getting more touches, but when Junior Firpo gets them, he passes it back or passes it to the side. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Stats are there. They can be manipulated to however you want to use them. But I feel like Junior Firpo could be doing a bit more when he gets that ball going forward. I don't think there's enough outlet out there. And we saw in the last game, Bogle was that outlet, and he was being ignored, which was crazy because he was actually good in that game. But yeah, I mean, if Firpo isn't fit, Tom, absolutely. I go with what our senior people have said. And what did Angus Kinnear say? We've brought in players that can help you now, not in 6 months' time. So if Firpo has any issues, and we already heard he had a little MCL strain last week, if he has an issue this week, then Schmidt should be ready and raring to go. That's from our recruitment guy. That's from the people in charge. That's what we've been told. So there shouldn't be any need for Schmidt to bed in. He should be ready to go according to what we've recruited. There we are. Gavin here saying Joseph is doing okay. He's only 20 and he's learning every week. Yeah, and look, and just on the raw numbers, never mind underlying data, go with numbers that have actually happened. He's got 4 goal involvements in 6 games. Now, Joseph himself will tell you he'd prefer that goals column to be the 3 and then the assist 1. But you've seen in the games, he's if he wasn't doing much, if he was just standing up there and looking all forlorn and I'm never getting the ball, I'd understand what people are saying. But the guy's coming back into midfield. If it wasn't for him, Ramazani's not running onto that ball. And Joseph is probably thinking, you know what, I wouldn't mind a few of these through balls for me as well. So look, there it is. That's what I'm saying. And I'll be honest with you. If Joseph starts to go on a bad run, I will say so. I've got no problem with that. But the fact is, he isn't on a bad run at all. But it is what it is. And like I say, I said in the other video as well, it's a good problem to have that Peru's coming on as sub. But again, there's another stat in Peru that he's got so many goals off the bench after the 75th minute of games. And it's kind of like that thing of, well, if it works, why change it? But obviously, Joel Peru being a footballer, very, expensive one as well, he will probably say, look, I need to start a game or 2. And I'm sure he will, man. I'm sure he will. Michael here saying Firpo shouldn't be risky if Schmidt can come in. No point playing a player until he breaks down. Absolutely, Michael. But they've got a handle on it. We'll see if we won't see tomorrow if he trains, but we'll find out by the team sheet Saturday. Let's have a look there. So there we are in terms of that. He was talking about Coventry as well. Let me just get the comments up, because Coventry haven't started very well, but we'll speak about that more tomorrow. They've had very, very indifferent results. They're not scoring a lot of goals either. But they started slow before. And Danny Farker was just talking about Coventry, saying he's totally convinced of Mark Robins' quality as a top manager in this division. What he's done, developing a club that always comes close to the promotion. And he did add as well, sell their best players. And when you look at some of the players they've sold, it's, they should probably, if they could have kept them all, they'd probably be up by now. It's one of those things. I expect them to finish in a much better position than they are. Yeah. The thing for me is that don't let it be this game where they start to get their mojo back. Let them wait until the Blackburn game next week. You know what I mean? Bring Blackburn down a peg as well, but let's carry on and keep our form up. Get some wins in a row. We need that. We need that in order to close that gap in the first place. But we also need it for confidence sake as well for whoever steps into against on Saturday. Gavin, he's not struggling, Gavin. He was one of those. I mean, we're not here to talk about players that have left, but Somerville, if you looked at the game on the weekend, and I don't suppose anyone's watching Premier League football, but he actually got taken off before 60 minutes, and the West Ham fans started booing Lopetegui. You know, it's one of those. He was actually the most dangerous player they had. But yeah, West Ham are in a bit of a sticky spot. But anyway, listen, we can only hope to get where they are, one day, but we need to go up first, as the saying goes. Ina saying here, I think Firpo only got 1 week off since Christmas. Have to be careful with. Yeah, I know. I'm not calling him the GOAT, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah, but fair play to you. Fair play to you. But yeah, listen, Firpo's injuries. It seems I have my own theories with that. I feel like the Premier League was a step too far for him. So hey, listen, Daniel Farker even said today, which was a very interesting comment. I'm surprised no one's picked up on it in the chat right at the minute, but he was asked about, do certain players soldier on through injuries more than, say, other players? And Danny Farker said, yeah, there are players that are more warrior-like, and there's more players that can soldier on through a minor injury, and there are softer players. And and I do think with Firpo, with the Premier League just exposing all of his flaws, it's probably easier to say, yeah, I've still got a thigh strain, rather than be in the Championship and you can get on a good run. You can see that your attacking ability is better than a lot of the league, so it's easier to play, isn't it, rather than getting rinsed every week like he was. So yeah, I do think there's something mental in that. I do believe that. But yeah, his injury, there hasn't been any injury problems with Junior Firpo. If he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, so be it. But I think he's been pretty reliable since he come back into the team. What was it? Maybe 2-3 months into the season last year. He's been very consistent. So kudos to Firpo. But yeah, I can't call him a GOAT, mate. I just can't do it, man. Nah. No, he ain't that deep for me. Daniel with the super chat. Thank you, Dave. Sorry, David. Thank you for the super chat, my man. Much appreciated. Yeah, so there is that. And look, people, that is the injury news. We're gonna have to see how we get on. I will be back tomorrow with the preview where we'll talk about our preferred lineups, what we would do for the game against Coventry, and we'll delve into that. We'll also go into Coventry's form and everything else we do in the preview. You know how it goes, people. And like Matt says here, time for the squad depth to shine. Rotation will be key, and that would have been the case regardless of injuries. We should be rotating, especially as people are saying we've got 3 games in 6 days. We cannot see the same 11 for every game. It just can't happen. The data tells you that. I was even listening to I think he's a League One manager. I think he is a League One manager, the Wickham manager. This guy was talking about, yeah, we have to be careful with the players because even some of their data is saying they cannot play another game until they've had a rest. And that will be the same for every club. But I don't think we utilized that enough last season for me. So where we can get in How Tanaka, where we can get in Joe Rothwell for a game to give Gruev a rest, do so. Absolutely do it. You know what I mean? There's options that we've got there, but of course the injury list just cuts them down just that little bit. But listen, people, that will be it for today with the squad news, with the press conference news. Thank you for tuning in. Come back tomorrow. We're going to do the preview, and I'll see you then. Enjoy the rest of the evening, people. Peace out.